Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I am your host, Brian Walker, and today our guest is Patrick Egan of Spark Interactive. Hi, Patrick.
How's it going today, Brian?
Going well, going well. I'm excited to have you on the show today. I've known for a while that I
Thank you.
wanted to have you on because I love what it is that you're doing in the industry. So before we get started, why don't you take just a minute and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and maybe some of your history in the automotive industry.
Sure, yeah. I've been a marketing and branding geek for 30 years or so. But last 10 years I spent working in and around the automotive industry, running marketing for Auto Vitals and AutoServe One and Kukui. And over that time, spent a lot of time at shops. I think I stopped counting at about 2,000 shops.
Wow.
And throughout that whole progress of just visiting shops, that's been my primary goal, is to go out and visit shops and hear what your success story is, what makes you tick, and primarily to see how we can deliver a product that meets the needs of a successful shop owner. And over that 10 years, I found that those amazing stories really need to be told. And, let's face it, when I'm out visiting a shop, I'm not going to buy anything from them. So I figured they should be telling those stories to their customers and to their prospective, new hires. So that's what I did recently, is jumped off, and now full time I run around and listen to people's stories and help them share that stuff with their customers, and help them talk about the communities they serve and the customers they serve and why they're a little bit different or a little bit better than another shop down the road. So that's in a nutshell what I'm doing today.
So at Spark Interactive, the end product that you deliver, of course it's story, but you do that through video, right?
Yeah. So, throughout this 30 plus years history of marketing, I've found that invariably the biggest bang for the buck and the most impact I've had with any type of marketing is video. Even before, now what are the stats? Something like 8 million hours of video are watched on YouTube every 10 seconds or something. I don't know. That number keeps going so high, I can't even keep track anymore. Mm-hmm. But for years, video has been the thing. It's the thing that keeps people engaged. And now anymore, people are more likely to watch a 15-second video about a topic than they are to read one sentence about the exact same topic. And combining that with storytelling, storytelling, we can get into this in a little bit, but you and I have talked about this before. Storytelling has some real science behind it. There's some stuff that goes on in your head that makes you stop and lean in and listen, and really creates an impactful and engaging message to your prospective customers. And shop owners, business owners, whoever, you can't be out there telling that story to everyone. So video is a perfect channel to do that. So it's out there 24 hours a day, increases your reach to wherever you can put a video, and it lets people hear that story again and again. Let's face it, nobody tells your story like you do, right?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because I think about it. It wasn't that many years ago when we did not have access to what we have access to now, and it seems like we've had it forever because it's so embedded into our lives. But it really was not long ago that if you wanted to create a video, it was a task. If you wanted to put it up on YouTube, you had limits of how long it could be, and then even just the internet uploading that video, mm-hmm. and now here we are, basically walking around with a television studio in our pocket at all times.
Right.
It's
exactly.
Really amazing. So the ability to tell a story has mm-hmm. never been better than it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example is Vision this past year. I went out and hung out with Sherry Hamilton, both of our good friends, mm-hmm. and told a little bit of her story. But I did that back in 2012, working with another company, and I brought a camera crew with me. Yeah. We had 20 grand worth of camera rolling around, and the 10 pounds of batteries and all that stuff, and lights and cameras and mics and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you're right. Now you can stick it all in your back pocket.
Yeah, I saw you there doing that at Vision, and you were literally using a small camera. It might have even been a cell phone. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then you had the little Bluetooth lapel mics,
Right. Exactly.
and did a amazing job with it. You know,
Mhm.
when you watch that, it's honestly it's better quality than what we would have watched on television 20 years ago for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So what are let's get into video a little bit and how shops are using it and how you've seen shops using it. So, you know,
Mhm.
what are some of the most powerful ways that you have seen shops using video in their marketing?
Sure. I mean, there's lots of buckets to put that in. There is certainly a need shops need to do every day, is do that personal, here we are in the back of the shop kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And like you said, everybody's got a cell phone in their pocket. I talk about storytelling a lot, and I'm probably doing this backwards because I like to go out and I help them start that storytelling process. And I'll bring all the gear, and yes, I do use a cell phone sometimes because my that iPhone 13, man, it's got a really nice
Yes, it
processor
does.
in it. But for that good rich stuff, that interview type of video, even like the stuff we're doing right now, getting that deep depth and impactful video, that requires a little bit of professional gear. But and those stories, I think, are really what do it. We both talk about using video a lot, and I think a lot of shops take that to heart and they start using their phone. And the thing is, though, there's a place for some of that DIY video. There's a place for some of the back of the shop fun. And a lot of it is social media. You want to be relevant. You want to be out there constantly, and people seeing that there's real people there. It's not blue jumpsuit guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which does not exist in the U.S. But the really impactful stuff is your story, your authentic story about the people in the shop, the people who come visit your shop, your customers, your team, and how they got to where they are today. Talking about the customers and the community that they serve, your customers talking about how much they love coming there, why they came there in the first place, their origin story. I sometimes hear some stories. Like I mentioned, I've been visiting shops for 10 years, and 2,000 shops plus later, I tend to sit down and listen to those customer stories. I was at a customer not too long ago. I sat down for an hour listening to these people. It was an amazing family talking about how long they've been coming there. Those are the really impactful things. Those are the things that set you apart and show this is what's going on in this business. It lets you kind of showcase your culture. What's who you really are. Not so much like, hey, we've got a sale this weekend. Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Come on down.
Yeah.
That's noise, right? And the storytelling stuff, we'll talk about that more. But yeah, there's some real stuff going on behind that storytelling stuff that really attracts and engages a customer in a way that marketing videos really can't.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about it sometimes, the difference between marketing and advertising. And,
Yes.
advertising is basically, this is what we do. This is where we are. Here's how to get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Whereas marketing, what we preach to people is that marketing is about getting people to know, like, and trust you. Because when you get people to know, like, and trust you, you build clients that will stay with you forever and will refer their friends and their family to you. And
Right.
and those videos that you're talking about are the things that can help people to truly get to know, like, and trust you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's even beyond that. There's it's knowing and liking and trusting you, but there's almost, I don't know if it's a trick or not, but the stuff in your head that when you start hearing the stories about authentic people, there's what is it? The frontal cortex starts listening to your story and realizes that it's a story and not an advertisement, and it goes, whoa, wait a minute. This is some real stuff. We should listen. And it's actually the same thing that filters out advertising buzzwords and noise. I mean, you probably do it every day. You're scrolling across a website. There's all kinds of stuff that flies by that you don't even see or hear anymore because your brain is just filtering it out. But as soon as it kicks in and realizes that it's a story, it turns on other pieces of your brain that go like, it's almost like, hey guys, come on in, let's listen to this. It's a real thing. Come on, let's go listen. And that's what gets people to get engaged. The first part is, the what is it, serotonin that kind of kicks in and wakes you up and makes you want to either, the fight or flight kind of thing, but that wakes you up and you're like, oh, I should listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the empathy drug kicks in and makes you now want to relate with the people that are telling that story. Just like, when you listen to stories when you're a kid, you kind of sit in your back and you start to listen and you engage and you start to create a relationship with the speaker or the characters that they're building in there. You start to build a story in your mind. That's why when you're watching Netflix, you tend to binge watch them. It's like all of a sudden, all those people in Bridgerton. Wait, that's not what I'm talking about. It's so you're starting to know these people and you feel like you actually know these characters and, you want to go look them up on the internet and that kind of thing.
Yep.
That's the kind of relationship that you start building when you're hearing these story videos. And it's just kind of an amazing thing. It just kind of latches onto people.
Well, brands is known for, a long time how powerful storytelling is, because what they'll do is they'll take their advertisements and they'll embed it into a story. You think of what happens with reality television now, where a brand will pay to have their product embedded into it. It might be an energy drink that is in a person's hand that is in this reality show, and they're paying for it, and we have no idea that they're advertising to us, but it's part of that story. Is that person is drinking that energy drink? Oh, I want to try that energy drink.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I make no money at all from these Rode microphones that I have right here.
Yeah.
You're right, and that's exactly right. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I think the stats are. You can try and deliver data or information, like when you watch a PowerPoint presentation. So a lot of people used like to call them death by PowerPoint. You fall asleep and you're not paying attention. It's really good information, but if you build that into a story, you get the same information, but the story kind of fills in the blanks. It lets you start to, in the back of your mind, you go, oh yeah, I remember a time when something like that happened to me also. Or, we're thinking in stories all day long, whether you're thinking about going to get groceries after work, or you got to get gas, like, oh geez, I need to get gas on the way to work, so I should go this way instead and stop by that gas station. And like, oh, you know what? I remember when I went down that way last time, it was construction, and all this stuff's going on in your head. So you're constantly thinking in stories, and that's why your brain is wired. Yeah. So when you hear a story, you just kind of relate to it. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. Teaching is always storytelling. So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. So what, you're talking about storytelling. I know that the service that you provide is to go out to these shops and create these videos to tell these stories. What are the what are the primary videos that you see that every shop needs, and the story within each one of them that gets told?
Yeah, for sure. There's, and, over this 10 years, it's not just, I go out and I shoot videos. And, I'm proud, I'll tell you, I'm probably not the best videographer on the planet. For a while, I was using other people to shoot the videos. So they're probably better at it than I am. But it's the interview style, and the system that I've kind of built around this thing has, like you said, there's some key components. So there's your business story. The business story is the business owner, some key members of the team, a couple of customers, talking about, not why the shop is, we do brakes and we do transmissions and alignments. It's talking about, we've been here for 35 years. My dad came down here, struggled for a little while. We got the place going. I took it over from him when I was, 10 years ago. And, now we're serving the entire community of fill in the blanks town, and talking about how they serve that community, how they interact with it. Usually the business owner will talk about the types of community give back things they do. We give away a car every year, or we interact with the Boys and Girls Clubs. The best ones are some fabulous shops where they have an art show in their lobby, and they clear out all the desks, and they have art all around the room, and they invite in a whole bunch of local artists to come and showcase their awesome stuff. And it has nothing to do with auto repair. And so those kind of stories make people start to think, oh man, I want to go there. Like, oh, while I'm there watching art, you also work on BMWs. I have a BMW. Maybe I should get my car work done there. And then hearing those stories about their customers too, and about the team members that work there. So you start to, again, you get this whole idea of their culture and their, their interaction with the community. And those story videos are crafted in a way where, it's not a talking head. It's not just one guy talking to the camera. You see a lot of what's going on inside the shop, above the shop, around the shop, customers coming and going, and guys actually working on the shop in the back. And then we split that stuff up into two others where it's specifically your customers. So a whole story of just your customers, I call them raving fans, talking about how they got there in the first place. The first time they came in, my car broke down on the side of the road, and the shop owner picked me up at 3:00 in the morning in his personal car, and he took me to, the Motel 6 and paid for it because I lost my wallet. And then he took me to the train in the morning, and, now I come there forever, and I've been bringing my cars here for 1,000 years. And, that guy's a customer forever. And it's not the kind of people who are trying to siphon money out of your wallet. It's the kind of people who are looking for a long-term relationship. And that's, the focus on the team, the focus on the customers, and building long-term profit.
Yeah.
And then the third leg of that stool is the team. And probably this is should be the first leg of the stool. Because I think most of the really successful shops that I work with, they focus on the team first. Take care of your team, they're going to take care of your customers. Your customers become long-term sales. Let's face it, we're talking about retail sales. And the team story is really about the people who work there, why they love you, why they love working every day. Again, one of the big questions I ask people, and again, it's all interview style, and that's what really brings it out. It's not, let's read from a script. Tell me your journey. What makes working here, wow, I get to go to work today, instead of like, oh, geez, I gotta go to work today.
Yeah.
Those are two, it's the same words, but it's a different feeling. And invariably, you hear these stories from the team in the back of the shop and in the front of the shop, talking about how they love working there, how they wouldn't work anywhere else, why they got there in the first place. You hear these amazing stories about how, this business owner, brought me in when, I didn't have any other options, helped me get through school, paid for some of my tools. And, I've been here for 15 years now. I'm a master tech, and, paid for all my ASC stuff, sends me to training, sends me to Vision, sends me to Apex. That guy's an employee for life. And those are the kind of people you would really like to be getting out there and telling their friends. A lot of times that's not their job. They should be in the shop working, right?
Yeah.
So those three pieces are the real, that's the real foundation of a really good storytelling system. I call it a mini doc. It's a documentary system that helps you tell your complete story and your culture about what's going on.
Yeah.
And face it, that kind of team story, that's great for recruiting. I mean, if you go to somebody's webpage, and everybody needs technicians right now, and two shops maybe right across the street from each other, their job description is exactly the same. I need an A tech, I need this guy that has these skills. If you go to the one that has that job description, or you go to the one that has that story of the guys in the back of the shop talking about why they love working there, seeing the shop, seeing how brightly lit it is, and the great layout, and people are actually having fun in the back of the shop, and a professional team up front supporting a professional team in the back. Those are some amazingly powerful, engaging stories. It's great stuff.
Well, people are, it's not like it used to be, where people kind of settled for whatever job they could get, or just the job that happened to pay the best or was the closest to their home or whatever. Now they're truly looking for that great culture. And I have personally seen someone leave a job that paid better for a job that was going to give them a higher quality of life. And it's happening more and more and more. And if you can prove that the grass truly is greener at your shop, then you get a leg up on all of these other shops that are also out there trying to hire those same techs that you are. So yeah, great Great idea with what you're doing there with that video.
Hmm.
So, these are the videos that you do. These are the professional videos where you come in and you bring all of your equipment and everything. But you touched on it earlier. But what about the shop owner or the staff pulling out that cell phone and doing those raw in the moment videos?
Yeah. Like I said, I like to teach that there's a culture of storytelling. I mean, it's not just a one and done kind of thing. Sure. I mean, I'm in business, and I'd love for you to, pay for me to come do it. But that's almost a little bit of throwing your money away, because once you start doing that, you need to keep it going. You need to keep that whole culture of storytelling alive and well, especially after you've done all these interviews with your team and hearing what they really have to say. Keep it going. Get in the back of that shop. They maybe became comfortable with being asked to be on camera. Let's get back in there now. Maybe a couple of them really liked it.
Yeah.
Get back in there, or even let them continue that story. A lot of times it's more beneficial to have one of those team members doing the video of, like, hey, check this out. Today we've got this, right-hand drive Toyota Land Cruiser imported from Japan, and haven't seen one of these in a few months, and goes through the whole thing, talks about what's going on in the shop. Those are fun, and they have a lot of, it's not just the fun and the relevancy that you're getting out there. There's a lot of benefit too. I mean, every piece of that spoken word content, and we can talk about this in a minute too, there's a lot of SEO benefit to that. Mm-hmm. And that's something that people really don't realize. Even in this podcast we're doing, I'm sure when you're done with this, you'll post it up there. The transcript of this video is going to be out there for Google to eat. And Google knows that spoken word content from a video is far more authentic than any kind of marketing keywords that you can pack in your website.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, there's so much that happens when you're just talking naturally. Words that you will use that when people are searching, you would have never thought to just put that on your website. And exactly. It's gotten so good now, especially when your videos are put on something like YouTube, which of course Google owns YouTube. Mm-hmm. Their artificial intelligence, we don't even need to transcribe the videos anymore. They know exactly what's being said in the video. How many times do you do a search for how to do something now? Not only do they show you the video, but they bring you to the spot in the video where your question is answered. Yep. It's incredible. Now, we will still transcribe videos more often, write a blog, an accompanying blog post to a video when it's, that type of video. But, but yeah, you don't even have to do the transcriptions anymore, because they know every word being said.
Right. And we do the same thing too. If you want, we can talk about, the difference between YouTube videos and then hosted videos. Yeah. You really need to have a presence in YouTube. Absolutely. Put your videos on YouTube, put them on Facebook, put them on Instagram, put them on Twitter. But one thing I will mention, this is one key thing I keep finding over and over and over again, that, YouTube, Google is in business for their business. Mm-hmm. And if something is free, you're not the customer. If something is free, you're the commodity. And so having free access to a video server and hosting it on your website, you're just giving them something. They're not really giving you anything. Mm-hmm. So for example, hosting a YouTube video on your website tends to do kind of the opposite of what you want it to do, because you go to that site and check out that video, that's awesome, and the first thing you do is you click that YouTube button and boom, you're gone. And the next thing you're doing is watching SpaceX or Cats. I have to keep calling up a couple customers of mine. I'm like, I got to really thank you. I was on your website yesterday and I learned the most amazing stuff about how to fly drones. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I watched a video for about 30 seconds, and then the next thing I knew, I was watching instructional videos about how to fly my drone for 3.5 hours. It was great stuff. And I completely forgot about why I was going to go to that guy's website in the first place. So yeah, having that control over your website, and you guys do this as well too. You're driving traffic to your customers' websites. You want them to stay there. You want them to stick around for a little bit and not bounce off in 15 or 20 seconds. And there's a lot of there are other reasons too. You've got advertisements flying in there. sometimes inappropriate stuff as well too that you don't want to appear on your website. You want a professional image. But again, not to say that I have to do it for you, but definitely hosting a video on a video server that's not YouTube is a great option for your website. Yeah. But again, put videos in YouTube. You need to put them out there. Anything that you have, it needs to be in YouTube for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
yeah.
So, let's get back to that whole thing about people doing their own videos. Like you said, you're going to be there for a certain amount of time. You're not going to be back at their shop every month shooting videos, and you don't want these things to just fall off. And we talk about how, people watch, these documentaries and reality shows and all that, and they feel like they personally know the person. And you're able to do that same thing when you have that consistent video presence where people not only know you, the owner of the shop, but also know your staff. And that comes back to that know, like, trust thing. So, and then even going further to the culture, we know that where there are happy employees, there are going to be happy customers.
Yep.
I've never seen a business where the employees were happy and the clients were not served incredibly well. But I've seen a lot of them where the employees were miserable and the clients were not served well at all. Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. You can tell so much through these videos. You do feel like you get to know people. You get to understand their knowledge. Mm-hmm. So yes, these professional videos, you've got to have them. That's what you don't want to do an amateur video and stick it on the homepage of your website.
No, you want your professional image to appear as professional as possible, right?
But the day-to-day social media stuff, on the other hand, that's where you get out that phone and you don't so much worry about the lighting and the audio and all that. You just get the story told.
That's right.
So it's just amazing, what we can do with video now. So, you talked about it some with where to host the videos, but other than, hosting them on something like, I believe you use Wistia, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Which is an amazing video hosting platform. And you can take that and you can embed it into your website. But aside from the website, where else should people be using these videos?
The videos that we create, even the storytelling stuff. So, a thing you brought up too is like, I'm there and I'm not coming back anytime soon. And that's not, some shops actually do a refresh every 6 months or so. But still, that's, a cost and it's time and effort. While we're there though, to produce these storytelling videos, we're gathering 7-8 hours of content, and the stuff that's used for the stories is great, but you've got a ton of other content that your marketing team or you yourself should be slicing and dicing up. Those customer stories, whether we shot them on site or whether you're going to keep doing it, like you said, whip out your cell phone and ask your customers some stories. Taking either the content that we produced and continuing to use that. So take that one customer that came in and talked for an hour, 15 seconds of that stuff should be out in every social media channel you can think of. And again, those authentic types of stories, whether they're working with a marketing company like yours, whether they're doing their own social media posting, we even do that kind of stuff too. Again, it comes back to, are you a DIYer out crawling under your car and changing your oil, or are you taking your car to the shop? It's the same type of thing. Sure, you can do it yourself. But all of that additional content, you should continue to use constantly. Put it out in Twitter, put it out in Facebook, in Reels and in posts, put it out in Instagram, put it out in TikTok. The more you're out there and the more often you're out there with, again, authentic stories about real people, that's just makes you relevant. It sees that there's real people out there. You see that culture again and again. And like I said, 7-8 hours of content. That's a lot of video to use for all kinds of different purposes.
We have a mutual client that we built a website for, and we needed images, and we were able to get into the videos and pull some images that we needed. It can be a little fun going through stuff frame by frame to get that perfect shot. But
Sure.
when you don't have the photography, man, there's a lot of, and it came out great. So
Yeah.
like there's so much that you can do with it. But the short format video is huge right now.
Yeah.
Reels,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
TikTok,
Like
YouTube
if you get a
Shorts.
1-minute customer interview, 15 seconds of that, that person going like, this place is great. I've been coming here for years. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Boom. That's it. That's, and then you've got your splash screen on the back of that. It's great. Great stuff. I've seen some of the stuff that you guys do, and that's really nice.
Yeah. So, when it comes to like, let's say that somebody wanted to do this themselves. And, let's be real. Most shop owners are not going to do the professional style videos and create a super high quality product, because it's just like the person working on a car in their driveway. Yes, they can change their oil, they can change their air filter, but when it comes to the bigger repairs, they're not going to be able to do that with the same quality as bringing it into a shop. It's the same exact thing with the video. But we've got people listening here that they're uber talented when it comes to so many different things. So, that person that can pull it off, what kind of equipment and knowledge are they going to need to be able to do something like this?
Sure. You don't need a lot. I mean, I've got, tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars of camera gear laying around that I probably don't even use anymore when I travel to a customer site. Because anymore, you've got something like this. This is a pretty inexpensive rig, but even this, this lens is $3,000. The body was $1,000.
Yep. So for those who are listening, what are you holding up there?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot. We're not always at video. So I've got this is a basic camera that I use, and I talked a little bit earlier about the image quality. So it's a Canon camera. It's called an M50. It's a mirrorless camera. The body itself is relatively inexpensive. You don't have to have a $20,000 video camera. This thing, the body itself, goes for about $700. You can get those all day long. But the lens, that's the key thing. Having a really good quality lens. This thing's called a Nifty 50, if people know. It's a 50 millimeter lens. And that's what creates, you always see these, the movies where, the guy on frame is all crystal clear and everything behind him is all fuzzy. And that's the kind of image you create with that type of thing. But let's face it, I'm talking to you right now on my iPhone. It's got great quality camera. And for B-roll stuff, I use it a lot because you can do a lot of that cinematic type of video with it. You can make it blur out the background. It might not be as high quality. It still can shoot in 4K. The audio quality is not bad, but you have to also make sure you get some of these things. You've got to get a good quality lav mic. Getting the audio right up next to your subject is really important. We talked about those Bluetooth mics that you and I used in the past as well at Apex. Those are pretty good. And you and I actually found out a problem with that is Bluetooth cuts out sometimes. So, and there's connection problems. The thing that I found is simple is great. So if you take this thing and you plug it right into your cell phone and it's a piece of wire, there's no connectivity issues at all. The key thing, even though we're talking about video, is the audio.
Yeah.
Because even though people are watching your video, if it sounds bad, they're going to turn it off.
Yeah.
What really draws them in is that good sound, good quality audio. If you're shooting in the back of the shop, don't worry too much about noise that's going on in the shop because you're in a shop. Yeah. Showing the working life of what's going on inside of your business is really showing your culture. I mean, let's face it, we all want to see, the technician in his natural environment. Up ahead is the technician. He's under a car today. The gazelle might find him. Yeah. So those are pretty key, but lighting too. Don't worry too much about it, but most shops have already got that down. I mean, you've got some great lighting in there because if you're already treating your team members right, you've got some good lights back there. Or just open up the bay. There's that big bright light right out there. open up those bay doors and get some light in there, and show what it looks like. It's always best to show a bright, happy environment. That's it. And take a look around. This is the one thing I always recommend, even when I go out and shoot, when I help people do their own thing. And you're right. Not everyone will do this. Not everyone brings their car in for oil changes to do their own. So I coach people as well to make sure you're doing things, you're setting yourself up well. So look around, see what's in your shop. Is there, are there cores laying around all the ground? You got, greasy countertops in your waiting room. Clean that stuff up. If you got soda bottles sitting on the counter, clean things up before you start shooting. Take a look around and see, is there anything there that you don't want to appear in the video? It's really key.
And then keep it that way afterwards.
Yeah, right. Once you've done it, I mean, I find the same thing too. I clean out my car and I'm like, well, I should do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with my desk. I clean my desk up. Like, oh, I really like working here better. But yeah, those are some key things. And yeah, you can do it with a cell phone. Make sure you've got a good quality mic. A wired lav mic works great. You can get all kinds. I've got, this here is a Sennheiser wireless pack. You need 2 of these. This is the receiving end. There's a transmitting end. They each cost $600 to $700. If you're going to be shooting 2 or 3 videos a month, that's a lot of money. And same thing with that camera. If you're going to be shooting a couple of videos, just use your camera. A lot of the video I shoot, I use a drone, and I fly that around the shop. I fly it through the shop. You'll see in some of the videos that I do that it looks like a drone, and it's not. It's me running around with a gimbal, pretending I'm a drone. But even still, I've got some expensive drone gear, but I mostly use this little guy right here. This is a DJI Mini 2. They go for about $600. The all-in package is about a little bit over $1,000 for everything you need to shoot drone stuff. It's like learning any other tool. Once you learn how to use it, video quality turns out great. You don't have to have a $3,000 drone. Mine sits over there on the shelf collecting dust. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do relatively inexpensively. But if you want that drone look again, so get yourself a gimbal. And a gimbal is a little thing that you attach to your phone, basically, and it keeps it steady. So you can run around and it looks right at your subject. No matter where you are, it's keeping focus on that subject, and it looks like a drone shot. So, running through the front door, running through your shop. And I literally mean running too. So some of that stuff is pretty good. But again, it's the cell phone that's taking a lot of that video imagery, and it's really good. It's great quality. I will say, however, for quick videos, that's great because, but the big part of it is the editing. Mm-hmm. And in a professionally done video, I mentioned, we spend 7-8 hours working on videos. It might take, for one 3-minute video, 20 hours of editing time.
Yeah.
So that's, think about that. Do you have 20 hours actually after you shoot all that stuff? And let me tell you, the more stuff you shoot, the more you have to edit. So,
and until you get in there and actually start trying to edit something, you don't have the appreciation for someone who knows how to cut things and where to cut them. And it can be so frustrating because you're like, man, I've seen these other videos that look great, but mine just doesn't. And it's because you don't have the eye for it. Like, I am not a creative person. I do not have a creative bone in my body. I'm a very technical person. So I know how to click all the buttons. That's not a problem. But the end product just doesn't look like somebody who's got the eye for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd recommend, if you want, again, it's back to that professional quality. It's not just the shooting. It's not just the gear. The real end result is in the editing. Yeah. And it's not just your time too. You end up having your family hate you too. It's like, put some headphones on.
Well, Patrick, this has been great. I want to talk a little bit about, if somebody wanted to work with you, to to have you come to their shop, which that's one of the big differences here. Is a lot of
Sure.
companies that provide video services, if they're not local, they're going to find someone else that's going to come out and shoot the video. You don't do
Right.
that. You actually
No.
you go on site. You spend
Mhm.
how long?
I'll spend a day. A day could be 6 hours. It could be 10 hours.
Mhm.
Depending on what's going on, depending on the size of your shop, depending on what you want to do. I've been at shops, um, multiple locations where we want to shoot some of both the team, get some of that B-roll, the background stuff at multiple locations. That might take a couple of days even. So the one mutual customer we're talking about, let's give him a plug, is Fine Tune Auto.
Mhm.
I was out there for 3 days when he's got another shop opening up soon, so we're going to go back and do some more. But yes, I spend the day on site. I get in there first thing when you open up because we want to get those customers. It's good to get some customers that know they're going to be on camera, but let's get the ones that are just walking in the door. It's like, hey, we're shooting a documentary here today about service and why you love this shop. Would you like to talk about it? Absolutely, I would. A lot of people don't. You're right. A lot of companies will send out some local guy who may be fabulous. And I used freelancers for a while as well too. So I tried that model out. But it all goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. I've been visiting shops for 10 years. I've been in over 2,000 shops. I know how to talk to your team. I know a way around a shop. I know your wants and needs. I know what makes you successful. I probably know your story already before I walk in the door. So I know the right questions to ask. I know how to frame it right. I know what things we need to get on camera.
Will be a
I
problem.
think there must be some time limit on something. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't think it was that. I honestly think that there was an internet issue on your end.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were starting to freeze up a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Could
let's
be.
just kind of pick up from where you were.
Okay.
You were talking about how, like, the shops, you probably know the shop story
Yeah.
already and all
Right,
that. So
right.
you can pick up there and we can kind of splice it in.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So, I know their story. I probably know a shop story before I walk in the door because I've heard it so many times. And the successful shop is the guy who's, like we talked about earlier, he's focused on serving his team and serving his customers. His teams are going to take care of his customer. The customers are happy because the team is happy, and you make a long-term partner out of that customer that comes back again and again. And it's not a one and done type of thing.
So
Yeah.
So what kind of investment would somebody be looking at to have you come out and do this?
Sure. So we do a basic package that is the 3 videos and a couple others that I talked about before that is about between $700 and $7,500, and that gets you those three story videos, a video that's your appointment. It's a what to expect kind of video, so it sets the tone. The kind of thing that you have on your appointment page. It says, hey, thanks for making an appointment. Fill out the form down below and give us all your information. Tell us why you're coming. Make sure you pick a couple of dates. And more importantly, things like, if you get here after hours, we've got a Dropbox. Fill out the form, put your keys in the box, and we'll see you later. We'll text you, whatever. And again, that whole expectation, what to expect when it happens. So they tell you things like, throughout the process, we're going to be notifying you through text messages and email messages, telling you what's going on with your vehicle. If you need a loaner, let us know. We've got loaner cars for you. If you need a ride home, we've got a shuttle service, no problem at all. If you want to stick around, we've got a beautiful waiting room here with plenty of coffee and this really nice fish tank that you can look at, and you can watch your car getting worked out in the back there. Obviously, a lot of shops don't want people to hang around, but sometimes it's a necessity. Mm-hmm. So, all that stuff about setting expectations, that's really key too. And another thing we do too is, as long as we're there and telling stories, let's do, we talk about Google a lot. we'll do a street view shot too. So we'll use a 360 camera and do a 360 images throughout your business, in the front of the shop, in the back of the shop, around the building. So that just like when you're going into Google Street View now and trying to see what does that shop look like, I want to actually see what it looks like inside. And let's face it, most customers have never seen underneath their car ever.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll shoot, a 360 video underneath the car so you can look around, look up, and see what's going on. Hopefully they don't see something that the technician didn't see.
So when you do that includes all the travel and everything, right?
Yeah. So depending on where they are, we sometimes have to add an upcharge for airfare. And the reason I do that is not because I want to make it more expensive for someone. It's actually the opposite, because I did have a few comments from, I live out here on the West Coast, and a couple customers said, well, boy, you're charging me the same amount as that guy out in Maryland. I feel like I'm getting ripped off. So we do add in a surcharge, not for just for the airfare. Travel is travel. So if I've got to be in a hotel overnight, it's a hotel wherever.
Yep. So that is very reasonable, though, because you're talking about something that you're creating that's going to live on their website and at other places. Basically, I mean, it could live there forever. It'll eventually, after many years, get outdated.
Yeah.
But this thing is going to continue to work for you over time, like 24/7.
Yeah, and the big thing too, and I keep bringing this up, and I didn't know how to relate how valuable this is. All of that content, the 7-8 hours of content that we shot on site, that's all yours. I have worked with, like I mentioned, I used freelancers in the past, and we've all dealt with wedding photographers where here's your photos. If you want the negatives, call me back in 10 years and you can buy them. This content is yours. It's everything that we record there is yours to use for whatever marketing purposes. And your marketing company, like you guys, they love it, because now you don't have to send a guy out. Every one of your marketing companies is going like, we need you to go walk out in front of your shop and take a picture of the front of it. Okay. They don't ever do it. And if they do, it's upside down or sideways, it's smudgy or fuzzy, or, there's a guy sitting sleeping in the front of your shop you didn't know was there. So you've got all that stuff. And again, it's reusable again and again and again. And the hosting, I talked about hosting those videos. You get that included in the package too. So we host your videos and up to 100 more videos that you might create, or we create, or your marketing team creates. Put all that stuff in the same place. So you've got one place to keep track of all of your videos. Whether you download them, export them somewhere else, that's fine too. But at least you've got them in there. So there's a lot more value to it. And even if you were to call up one of those local guys, Joe's Video House in town, first of all, probably the last thing he did was shot a coffee shop. So, he might not know what they're talking about, but they're going to be probably more. They'll probably charge you 10 grand to do one video, and you don't own the content.
Yeah.
They give you that video on a disc and you're on your own. So yeah, there's a lot of value to it. And it's mostly labor,
Mm-hmm.
We all know labor hours. That's really what it's all about.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Sure. You can go visit sparkinteractive.com, visit the website, click on the contact us button there, and I'll get back to you right away. Or give me a call. I'm welcome to give out my cell phone all the time. So 805-403-3462. Just don't do it while I'm doing a podcast, because I won't answer. But give me a call. Reach out to me on the web, and we'll come out and listen to your story.
Well, Patrick, it's been great having you on here today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being here.